Pacific Lawyers Association. We do appreciate it.
Thank you.
We're now going to move to Rock the Vote New Zealand with Daymond
Hi there.
Goulder-Horobin.
Sure, so as a start.
Yeah, thanks, Daymond. We've got you for 10 minutes as well, but of
Yep.
course, it's a guide, not a target.
Yep. Wonderful. Thank you so much. So my name is Daymond Goulder-Horobin. I am the Rock the Vote NZ Deputy Party Leader. My background is IT and economics. I've got a Master of Economics and a graduate diploma in data analytics. And we're just a party that believes in good, sensible lawmaking and just common sense in general, and we do our best. So Rock the Vote NZ agrees with the intent of this bill and would dare say that this bill should pass through the select committee. However, there are conditions, and perhaps too many, but we'll see. So we support this bill because it has a great potential to assist with lawmaking for members of parliament, to simplify lawmaking and improve its quality. Not all members of parliament, and not all of us are lawyers, we're not experts in the law, we're not reading millions of pages of legislation all the time. One of the main things about this bill, which I like, is that it offers a great opportunity to have a reference point for how good lawmaking should be done. And it should serve as the end product for all existing legislation to make it easier for MPs to know what good lawmaking is. Our reasoning for why we support this bill and our conditions might not be the same as acts, but we'll see what happens. And ultimately, this bill doesn't have to be something that antagonizes the left, says the left is, take this with our property rights. This can help everyone. This can make things easier for all of us. So I'll start just by talking about what Rock the Vote NZ considers good lawmaking, because this will preface the rest of my submission. So really, we start from first principles, and first principles is a physics approach to the physical world. It's a mathematics approach to law and digitalization, and it helps us empathize with other people. And good lawmaking is all about empathy. It's all about understanding others, what they know, how they got to their position, and how we can help them, and maybe what they need to hear. And one of the key things about first principles is simplifying things. It's not all about making things complicated for everyone and making things, we've got to be smart, pretend to be smart. It's about simplification. So with that in mind, I'll talk about the most important conditions that we have for this bill and essentially what the bill should do before it passes the select committee. So the principles in general, the Rock the Vote New Zealand agrees with the tone of these principles. We do believe in, property rights and the freedom of the individual to complete their missions and lives. However, if we empathize with others, some have said this in their submissions, but actually all of the principles that are derived in this bill, all of those should come from existing legislation and laws. This should be an end product. There's a danger with freestanding principles, and that if it's not derived from anything that's already existing, it can be challenged. And obviously, as you've seen today, there's been many challenges to these principles. So I would like to see the working for these principles so that we know that every principle in this bill is from existing legislation and Bill of Rights Act, Imperial Laws Application Act, and all of that. And if it's done correctly by first principles and by mathematics, with the empathy of others in mind and the opposition in mind, there shouldn't be any standalone principles, or if there are, there must be extensive consultation on these principles. And I suppose a lot of the written content of the principles is just attempts that we've done to kind of derive some of those to make the wording a bit more agreeable. The second condition, which is a bit of a smaller one, the appointment of the Regulatory Standards Board. It's appointed by the minister, by just one person. It could be better optics to have a bit the appointment to be a bit more balanced. For example, you could have maybe one representative from each party on the board, so the interpretations and applications of each principle is balanced. Well, there's different things you could do to try that. And then finally, just some of the key misunderstandings I've noticed from people that have been submitting and in the media. First of all, this bill is not binding. It doesn't stop legislation being passed. There might be some pressure, assuming the principles are correct, and hopefully they are correct or will be correct. The courts can't use it to, I mean, I dare companies to try and use it. I dare them to try to use this bill to get compensation. And obviously the other one is people saying that Act doesn't have the mandate to pass or to enact this sort of bill. Again, every party is beneath 50% of the vote. So the democratic legitimacy is always tested at the when they all come together and vote on the bill. And obviously the Treaty of Waitangi is built into existing legislation. Existing legislation is created with the treaty in mind. Obviously, we do have to respect the treaty. It's very important. And then the regulatory standards bill derives its regulatory standards from existing legislation. Assuming the principles are correctly derived, and I would like to see the working for that. And just in conclusion, again, this does not have to be a bill that antagonizes the left. Everyone's saying, oh, property rights, ha, ha, ha. It can really empower MPs to have a point where they can get good points on how to build the legislation. And I respect the committee, again, empathy, is going to have a lot of late nights ahead of them building the report. And I hope that what we've done will help you guys out. Thank you, and any questions?
Thank you for that. Raymond, we don't appear to have any questions at this point in time. So thank you for that. You made your points very well.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Okay, we're going to move to Sunday.